Hello everyone, welcome to Coffee with Christ. My name is Zoe. On this channel, we're going to talk about God, Jesus, the life of Christ, and topics that we might struggle with here and there. Now, I can't wait to get into this episode. Let's dive right in. Alright, so today's topic is going to be Christian competition. We have 3 points today, going over a healthy perspective of winning and losing, competition is an opportunity to glorify God, and competition through social media. Now, all these things can get a little complex, but I'm going to break it down for us. So our first is going to be a healthy perspective on both winning and losing. Our first verse is going to come from Corinthians 9, verses 24 through 27. Do you know that the runners in a stadium all race, but only one receives the prize? Run in such a way to win the prize. Now everyone who competes exercises self-control in everything. They do it to receive a perishable crown, but we an imperishable crown. So I do not run like those who run aimlessly, or box like one is beating air. Instead, I discipline my body and bring it under strict control, so that after preaching to others, I myself will not be disqualified. So in those couple of verses, Paul uses competition as a metaphor for spiritual discipline. While it's good to aim for success, we have to remember the ultimate goal, which is to remind ourselves of our Christ-likeness and just to grow in our character with God. It can be some things like starting a business and asking God for help, or just asking for some basic business advice. You can ask God for those too. Our second verse is coming from Proverbs 16, verses 9. A person's heart plans his way, but the Lord determines his steps. Opportunities are ultimately in God's hands. We have no control, and it is a win or lose situation. But it is our choice to trust and to grow in that relationship. Now, for our second point, competition is an opportunity to glorify God. Now, our next verse is from Colossians 3, verses 23, verses 24. Whatever you do, do it from the heart, as something done for the Lord and not for people, knowing that you will receive the reward of inheritance from the Lord. You serve the Lord Christ. Lastly, I want to talk about competition through social media. Something that I think that we as a society need to come to terms with is that not all of us are on the same level. And now I don't mean that as someone is holier than thou or someone is doing better than the other person. And it can seem like that. But when someone is on a different level in a Christian viewpoint, meaning God has given them something for their path at the right time, and you're waiting on yours. Going at God's pace can be slow, but it's also exactly what He's called for you to do. So it won't look like what the next person next to you is doing. It won't look like what she's doing on social media, what he's doing on social media. You might look at Christian content or gym content or anything that you're just genuinely interested in, and you can see that they are so much ahead. You can be like, "Oh man, I want biceps so bad. Oh my gosh, I need to get into the gym more often." 9 out of 10 times, that is not the case. It's either pre-recorded or it has some editing behind it. But the thing is that you have to remember, it's all social media. Not everything is bound to be perfect. 9 out of 10 times, it's not what it's supposed to be. And another 9 out of 10 times, that's not where you're supposed to be. Now, I can tell you right now from experience that taking the Lord's path is not always favored. It's not very popular, but the reward on the other side is far better than taking any shortcut now. Focusing on the path that God has given us is crucial. It allows us to not compare everyone else's blessings to our blessings. Whether it's between winning or losing, it's still a blessing. When you're winning, it feels like a blessing, truly. When you're losing, it doesn't feel that way at all. When you're losing, it could be God telling you that, hey, I didn't want you over there with those people. You could have gotten into something bad. Or losing could mean that, hey, I didn't want you to hear what they had to say. I didn't want you to experience that kind of suffering. It can be really anything. But a blessing is a blessing. And being surrounded by God in that blessing is still a blessing. Before we close, I want to remind us of a couple things that we covered today. Focusing on the path that God has given us is crucial. It allows us to not compare everyone else's blessings to our blessings. Next, Christians are called to strive for excellence, not for selfish ambition. Although it can get tricky here and there, but it's important that we clock ourselves and we ask God for guidance. Lastly, focusing on the path that God has given us is crucial. It allows us to block out other things that we might want or think that we might want. It can allow us to not compare everyone else's blessings to our own. Unfortunately, that's all for today's episode. If y'all have any questions, comments, or just want to see anything else new, just let me know and I'd be happy to answer them in the comments. But anyway, bye y'all.